Hi, this is Dave from ADSR. Please subscribe to our channel for more tutorial videos. Today we're going to take a first look at the Traktor Kontrol S2 MK3 by Native Instruments. So let's first get it unboxed. Here we've got the Traktor Kontrol S2 box. It's very similar in the design for the Machina Micro Mark III. So let's take a look. So inside we've got the serial, some stickers, sounds.com and some other bits and pieces. Then we've got the USB, A to B there, and we've got the controller. One thing to note, you don't get a power adapter with this. It can take one, but we don't get it with the S2 anymore. Okay, let's take it out of here. And here's the S2 MK3. Very nice clean design, all nice in black. If you take a look on the back, we've got the power adapter, the USB. Interestingly, an iPad port. It doesn't even say iOS on there, it just says iPad. RCA and mini jack main outs, and a 1/4 inch jack mic gain with a Kensington lock, and also 2 threads for what looks like a stand. On the front, just a mini jack phones, and on the sides, we've got a nice little cutout section just to be able to pick it up easier. Nothing on the bottom, so let's take a look at the front. We'll compare this to the S2 MK2 in a minute, but it's quite small, it's not very deep, it's quite light. One thing I noticed straight away is the decks aren't mirrored anymore. They are very much the same as we would buy 2 separate decks. Also, we have a flux and a reverse button up here. We have 2 browse knobs up here. We have 2 buttons underneath, one for tree and one for adding to your favorites. The platters are a really nice size, much bigger than the Mark IIs, not raised so high, and it's got a nice feel to it. Pretty solid as well, and you're not going to pull that top off. And then we have a grid button down here, which we're going to look at in a moment. Shift, new buttons for the play and cue. We have 8 pads here now instead of the 4, with move and loop, hot cues and samples, sync and key lock down here, pitch bend as well. Moving over to the mixer, we've got our gains, our highs, mid, lows, EQs, master, and we've got a quantize here. And if we press shift and quantize, that's going to be snap. We have our microphone turn on and off. This is our sample volume, and then our cue mix and our headphone volume. Now down here, we've got our mixer effects. So I'm going to show you that in a second. Faders, headphone cue, and our crossfader. So let's plug it in. As I said before, it doesn't come with a power adapter, but it will run as bus powered absolutely fine. Let's see how to use it in the software. The browse on both sides will do exactly the same thing. You just have to press down and that will load it. We can hold shift and browse and it will scroll through the side tree. We scroll down and we click to load this side as well. So before on the Mark II, you used to have to click the browser knob to put it in browser mode. Now we have that button here. Let's work downwards. So we've got the flux and reverse button. Okay, if we hold reverse, what you'll see is it instantly puts it into flux mode. So let's just show you again. You see the blue line going across? Okay, and you can have flux on separately, of course. And to have a true reverse, you'll have to press reverse and then flux straight afterwards. The next thing they've added is the grid button, which allows you to be able to hold grid and move it along without having to go into the software and changing it, which I think is really cool. Then we have the shift that does that secondary functions just as normal. So if I hold shift and Q, it goes back to the beginning of the song. But this time we've got key lock on its own, so we don't have to press shift and play because it just plays now. Then we go over to the hot cues. As mentioned before, we now have 8, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and to delete them, just hold shift. But the 8 pads can also work on a deck below as samples, just like the D2, the S5, and the S8 can do. Even though this is a 2-channel mixer, we can still play the samples underneath. So if we hit samples now, this changes colour, and we can press this. And we can hold shift and we can turn them off. We can also control the volumes of the decks C and D by using the sample rotary, which moves them both up and down. Lastly, let's take a look at the mixer effects. So we can select which one we want. So here we've got reverb, and we've got a gator there, and a double delay, and a barber pole. And if I choose reverb and I have it on, I can actually have a kill switch, just turn it off again, or turn it on. It's a nice touch. If I do want to change these, we've got these down here, and we can have a filter as well. But if we go down to mixer now, and you can see in the mixer effects slot, we can now choose from all these. Now we've had a look at the unit, let's compare it to the S2 Mark II. The first thing to note that the Mark III is actually wider. The Mark III is 48.5 centimeters, and the Mark II is almost 44 centimeters. And if we look at the back of them both, the main difference is we don't have jack outs, and we do have an iPad in. Also, the biggest thing for me, there are no effects rotaries on the Mark III. There's no in and out looping, but on the plus side, the Mark III platters are a lot bigger. In fact, the actual platter on the top, the Mark II is 9.25 centimeters, and the Mark III is 11.5 centimeters, so it's quite substantial. Another point that stood out to me, especially when I started using it to DJ, is how small the Mark III tempo faders are compared to the Mark II. The Mark III definitely has its pros and cons, but try it for yourself and see what you think. One thing to note, that if you buy the S2 Mark III before March of 2019, you will get Traktor Pro 3 with it. And definitely keep an eye out for what the iPad USB port is for. Thanks for checking out the first look of the S2 Mark III. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.